everyone, when they start out learning web development, they start with HTML and CSS, and then they wonder now what, how to continue, how to make this into a real life money-making skill. Well, this is how. You've got HTML and CSS. You take this course and you'll be able to create simple WordPress themes. Hi, my name is Peter. I'm a professional web developer and been one for a little over a year now. And in this series, I'm going over the Udemy courses that help me land money-making gigs in only 6 months into my web development journey. Now, why should you listen to me? Most of the reviews you find on YouTube are just impressions the reviewer gets by just simply looking at the course's table of contents, the reviews, ratings, and the preview videos. Whereas I have actually taken these courses, built all the projects in there, and all the stuff I know about the subject comes from these courses. Also, I'm not doing it for the commission. Now, it has been a little while since I last posted a Udemy course review, but I haven't been absent from YouTube. I have actually been uploading a 10-part series of JavaScript tutorial where I built a Datepicker. So if you're interested in improving your JavaScript ES6 knowledge, want to learn more about array methods, object-oriented programming, I highly encourage you to check it out. The link is in the description and also somewhere on the video. So today I will be reviewing a WordPress course by Schiff. It's entitled Become a WordPress Developer, Unlocking Power with Code. Now, I don't think I need to introduce WordPress to you. Depending on where you look, they'll tell you that WordPress powers about 25 to 30% of all the websites on the internet. It started out as a blogging platform back in 2003, but since has evolved into a full-scale no-code content management system that's really user-friendly. And WordPress is capable of powering a range of different sites, such as news sites, membership sites, subscription-based sites, or online stores. WordPress has allowed everyday people to build sophisticated websites for themselves and actually created a new generation of creative, tech-minded, but not code-oriented professionals to create websites for clients. WordPress is not just drag and drop and clicky clacky in the admin panel. There's a lot you can do actually with code. If you're a little bit familiar with WordPress, you probably know that the two most in-demand features developers build are themes and plugins. Now, themes control how and what is being displayed on the website, and plugins give extra functionalities such as help you migrating the site, manipulating the database, or increase performance of your website. Although the title suggests that this is an all-round WordPress developer course, but in reality this is a theme building course. So plugins are only covered for one lecture, a bonus lecture where you build a really simple dummy plugin that does some search and replace on your sites. And in terms of plugins, it just pales in comparison to the quality and the quantity the course delivers in terms of theme development. Now, what is the course objective? The course objective is basically turning a HTML and CSS site, a completely static site, into an interactive, data-driven WordPress theme. Now, who is this course for? I imagine there could be two types of people who are interested in this course. One of them is someone who manages their own WordPress site or manages it for clients and just does it through the admin panel via themes, plugins, etc., and now wants to interact with WordPress using code. Or someone who codes already and just wants to be familiar with the WordPress infrastructure in order to make more money. So between these two groups of people, the course is a little bit more ideal for somebody who already codes. Now, I'm not saying that you should not take the course if you're already a WordPress admin, because you have the advantage of knowing WordPress in and out. But in terms of code, it's a little complex. You've got PHP that mostly powers WordPress. It's a backend language and it's probably 80% of the course. But then you also have JavaScript, which is the remaining 20%, and it's a front-end language. And you have to sort of be mindful when and why a certain task is performed by the backend and we're using PHP, and when it's the front-end job to perform a task. So you have to be able to understand these structures and follow the syntax along. And added to that, you also have HTML, a little bit of CSS to deal with, and the JavaScript sections are also sprinkled with a bit of jQuery. So I think it's a little bit of a steep uphill if you don't have any coding background, but if you like challenge, I encourage you to take this course because it will definitely be helpful for you. So let's look at the positives and the negatives of the course. So the positives are, you start with a HTML and CSS template and you turn it into a data-driven WordPress theme. So basically everyone, when they start out learning web development, they start with HTML and CSS, and then they wonder now how to continue, how to make this into a real life money-making skill. Well, this is how. You've got HTML and CSS, you take this course and you'll be able to create simple WordPress themes. And it's not just theme coding that's included, there's also a section on deployment, 3 different ways of deployment via plugin, which is the easiest. Then there's a manual, and there is a GitHub deployment process, which is the most automated and probably the preferred for most developers. The course is also very thorough. Everything is explained in detail. However, as I noted before, you probably want to have some basic coding experience before you dive into it. Now the negatives. As I said again, the plugins are not covered at all. Then also, which is very surprising, comments are not covered at all. So comments, which are essential parts of WordPress, are not even mentioned. And even after completing the course, I don't know how comments are integrated into the WordPress ecosystem in terms of the coding side of things. Of course, I know how it works through the admin panel, but in terms of code, I'm not exactly sure how to interact with that. The last negative is that the database side of things is not covered at all, basically. So it's only one of the last sections where we dive into PHPMyAdmin and look at the database tables, but basically it's not explained how WordPress interacts with the database and how it makes use of different tables, how it indexes the data in those tables. So I think that is a big negative and a point to improve this course in the future. So enough of the introduction. Let's just have a quick look at the metrics, and then I'll explain the project and show you the most important features. See you there. So here we are on the course page. You can see I purchased it December 2019, so about a year ago, and it took me roughly 3-4 weeks to finish it. The instructor of the course is Schiff. He's North American. He's either from the US or Canada, so he's got a North American accent. I generally find him very easy to understand. He's got a pleasant voice, and he's also a very slow speaker, so I actually completed the whole course on a 1.25 to 1.5 video speed. I found his style a bit too slow. It's a bestseller course. It's got a 4.7 rating, received 13,000 ratings from over 55,000 students, and the last update was made October 2020. One of the last few updates include changing Gulp as a package manager to Webpack, which is a very welcome change because I remember I used to have a lot of issues with Gulp in this project, and Webpack just works fine. It's just really plain sailing compared to Gulp. And the other one is including jQuery free JavaScript files at the end of JavaScript modules, because jQuery is just simply falling out of favor with developers, and there's a high demand because of the framework. There's a high demand for developers to be able to program in plain JavaScript versus using libraries like jQuery. The course is 26.5 hours, so if you have about 1 hour a day, I would say you can reasonably complete it in about 4 weeks time. Now let's get to the project. I've got two tabs open. I'm logged in with different users. This one on the right is an admin user, and this one is a normal user, just a subscriber. Now, what's this website about? It's about a fictional university that has campuses, has tutors, professors, has subjects, and it's also got a blog and a few events coming up. And when you start the project, all this is just static HTML. So these dates for the events and everything, the text or the blogs would all be here. This blog excerpt would be hard coded, and you just, bits by bits, you adding dynamic data to it and displaying it on the main page, starting with the navigation to the different archive pages. So for example, you've got programs here, events, then you've got the blog. So you make this dynamic in PHP, and also you manage the navbar based on the authentication state. Authentication comes and works out of the box with WordPress, but managing the authenticated state, obviously displaying content based on the user being logged out. Like right now we're logged out. You see there's a login button, sign up button. Once we log in, you'll see that we land in the admin zone as an admin, but if we come out back to the front end, you see that there's a logout button, a gravatar that I haven't set up for my account, and there's also a private section, My Notes, which is only available to authenticated users. So the next thing you learn is basic WordPress queries. So you replace the hard-coded HTML for the upcoming events and the blogs with dynamic data that you set up in the backend, and you do the same not just here on the front page, but you do it also, for example, here on the event archive or the campuses. Or the campuses, normally it would be a Google map displayed, but because you saw I took the course a year ago, so basically I've run out of the free Google Maps credits, so this feature is not available for me anymore. But let's just go back to the main page, or actually it's available here as well. Then you also code a JavaScript powered search where the input is controlled via JavaScript and then request sent via AJAX to the WordPress REST API. So if I type in maths, for example, you see you get the information parsed into different categories. Now this general information, this is where blog posts would show up. I don't think we have blog posts for maths, but we have for biology. Yeah, so you got a blog post here, but if we go back to maths, because I think maths has kind of the most data, you can see that you got the blog posts here, programs, professors, campuses, and events. Now, what are these programs, campuses, and events? If you go back to the admin panel, you're going to see that you've got relevant sections for it: campuses, professors, events, programs. You've got even likes. So basically, these are custom post types. Posts and the different post types are the data models that you can customize, add extra properties, and even relate them to each other. And apart from the default post, you can see here, post types don't come out of the box with WordPress. You either need a plugin to create them, or you need to code them like we did in the course. And we create post type like the event. So I can just create a brand new post type. For example, I can create, let's call it life of the whales, and I can make it event date. Here's a Datepicker. Let's make it March the 5th. And you can also, this is also another custom field that we created. We can add this picture to it, and you can relate it to biology. And also we can just create some text here. And just space it out a little bit to make it look better. And then publish it. And let's remember it was March the 5th, I think. So if you go back to Fictional University, obviously now we've got two more recent upcoming events, one on January the 11th and then February the 11th. But if we go and view all events and go on next, this is paginated, that's why you just see two at a time. Also we learned how to customize this pagination, and here's the one that we wanted, March the 5th. Of course, the fact that it's in ascending order is also controlled via code. And then you've got a look back query here on the past events, which is about past events, and here the order is descending as we requested in the query. Now in terms of code versus plugins, the course is not completely plugin free. There's a few plugins that we make use of, which are the following: the classic editor, which basically replaces the block editor with the custom with this old style editor that you can see here. I just prefer this one. I think it's easier to manage. Another one we use is the members, which basically controls authorization, which member can control what. So for example, like this one on the left, as I said, is a normal subscriber, so he would not have access to the admin panel at all. If I'm coming here and enter it, he's basically being redirected to the front end. And then there's another one we use is the regenerate thumbnails, which is just to optimize and customize image sizes. And the advanced custom fields, like you've seen it on the events, these fields like the event date and related programs, these are not available out of the box. These custom fields are how you can create custom data, or how you can relate one post type, like we're relating the events to programs here. Now you can of course code it, but this is just a very reliable plugin. It would be just a very meticulous job to do it by code. So in these cases we can just make use of a few very, very handy plugins. Now there's also one more feature that I wanted to show you that we code. This is kind of a mix of JavaScript and PHP. Let's access it via programs, professors, and see you can there's a heart, there's a like button. You can like a professor, and basically this one is powered via JavaScript. So initially when you like a professor, it's immediately handled with JavaScript on the front end, but it's also sent to the back end. So if I were to refresh it here, obviously the data is persistent, and if the other user also looks for this professor, where did we find him? Did you find him here? Yeah. You see he's gonna have one like here already, but the heart is unfilled because he himself hasn't liked it. If he were to like it, then it's got 2 hearts. We refresh it here and 2 hearts again. If this person unlikes it, then the professor is left with 1 like. And you also learn how to restrict your WordPress REST API in order to only allow users to fetch data and manipulate data that they're authorized to do so. So here's the My Notes feature. Let's go here, check it out. So you can just create a new note, say new note, and the content It's created. Obviously it's persistent, so if we refresh it, it's there. You can edit it here in a nice custom editor here. Let's call it new note 2 and content 2. You save it here. Obviously, as an admin, you can see it in the admin panel, but it's not part of my notes, obviously. So I've got different my notes on for the admin. Also, if we create an admin note and paste in some text, yeah, why not? Let's paste this in. Obviously it won't show up for this person, this user here. Now if we want to delete, there's a nice transition. And also, well, let's just see if it's persistent. It's of course persistent. Refresh it here. It's persistent. And then if you do the same here and refresh, then it just works perfectly. So this is a great course if you're a beginner web developer and have HTML and CSS skills already and want to fast track your venture into a career. You can do so very quickly by leveraging many of the out-of-the-box functionalities of WordPress. But remember, this is a theme only course, so plugins are not really covered. So again, if you're interested in this course, the non-affiliate link is below. Click it, check it out, watch the free available preview videos, and if you like it, just dive into it.